Hello, my book babes. Welcome back to my channel. If you are new here, thank you so much for clicking on this video. I'm Morgan and I read a lot. And today I thought I'd talk to y'all about my DNFs for the month of July, as well as my hopeful TBR for August. I usually like to include my DNFs in my monthly reading wrap-ups. However, by the time I filmed my July reading wrap-up, my camera was dying. I just did not have the time. So this is going to be kind of an interesting video where I'm going to be talking about half DNFs for the most recent month and my anticipated reads of the new month. I don't really know how this combo will go, but c'est la vie. I still want to get it out for you guys, so here we are. Now, I DNF'd 6 books in the month of July. Honestly, that's like an average. I feel like 4 to 6 is what I usually do. If you don't know, I DNF at the drop of a hat. I've DNF'd on page 2. I've DNF'd on page 100. I've DNF'd for incredibly petty reasons, some that you will see today. I just feel like for me, DNFing, I have so many books on my physical TBR that I want to read, and there's new books coming out every week. So I just don't like to waste my time. That's just me. If you're someone who never DNFs, if you're someone who feels like there needs to be strict rules about DNFing, this may not be the place for you or the channel for you, because I love to DNF. I just don't want to waste my time. Anyways, so let's get into the DNFs. Now, the first one I am including because I can't remember if it was for June or July. So I'm just going to include it for July. It is The Mad Wife. I'm actually really disappointed that I didn't like this enough to continue, because I've heard mostly good things about this book and that there was like this big twist at the very end. So this book is a domestic psychological thriller. It's about a woman who's living in the 1950s, and she kind of starts going through a certain amount of hysteria and paranoia as she gives birth to, I think, their second child. And I was really looking for that commentary on womanhood and what it was like in the 1950s for women to be mothers, to be wives, and have the mental load and emotional load on their shoulders constantly. But my problem was I just got bored. I could see maybe where the story was going, but the journey to take us there was really lackluster and was not keeping me engaged at all. So I ended up DNFing, and then after I DNF'd, I went and got spoilers. So I was like, okay, how does this end? Like, what's the climax? And the spoiler that I read was fine. But I kind of was glad that I didn't continue, because I don't think I would have felt that the ends justified the means in this particular case. So yeah, I DNF'd it because I was bored. That's the main reason. I don't think it was the most poorly written book of all time. I didn't hate it. I just didn't find it engaging enough to want to continue. Now let's talk about an exact opposite experience where I actually kind of detest this book, and that is Hooked. This is a dark, like, mafia Peter Pan retelling. I initially thought that this book and this whole series that she has about fairy tale retellings was fantasy. It's not. It's dark romance. There's no fantasy. So in this book, you have a mafia gangster named Hook, okay? And he's at war for some reason with this guy that's name is Peter, and Peter has a daughter named Wendy. Okay, that's the whole retelling of it. And Wendy like just turned 20 or 21, and this book starts out with first Hook killing someone a lot, and then Hook and his family own this club. I do believe Wendy is 20 because she's underage and she's trying to get in this club. And just say this, the MMC in this is vile. On page 20, when he finds out like who she is and her background, that she's the daughter of his like biggest rival, he fantasizes about SAing her on top of her father's corpse and talks about how he wants his cum to mix with the blood of her dead father while he's banging her. And that thought gave him a huge erection. Disgusting. I get some people are into it. That was like, nope, we're done. We're done. Dark romance is one of those genres that I'll read a book and I kind of don't mind it, and I'll be like, oh, I'm into the genre, like, let me pick up another one. And then I read books like that and I'm like, we're taking a break. We're taking a break, okay? So yeah, this is a DNF that I'm like, I feel 100% secure about. I think it's gross and just was never going to be for me, is not for me. This next DNF is Death's Daughter. Now, I'm not going to lie, I DNF this for a very petty reason. This is a dark academia fantasy. I don't remember a lot about it, to be honest with you. I do remember when I was first reading it, the FMC's in college, and I felt the writing was a little bit young. It was definitely a little bit like modern lingo, which is fine, whatever. The author wrote our FMC to say the word hella, like Hella. Not even in dialogue, which maybe I can excuse, but like in her inner monologue. Hella. It was something along the lines of like he was being hella mysterious. I don't know why that icked me out. It just did. I don't know if it's because hella is like obviously not a real word in the terms of like grammatical literature. It's a slang word. And just the fact that that was used like as if it was a real word, I don't know why that icked me out so bad. It just did. And I was like, not for me. I think it was because, to be fair, I was already like half not really invested in the story to begin with. And that one, I think, was just the straw that broke the camel's back, honestly. I, again, acknowledge it's very petty. A lot of people, I think that's really stupid. What can I say? I use that as an excuse and I ran with it. And the next book is We Hexed the Moon. Now, I actually don't think this book is a bad book. I can see the appeal of it. It's very short. I think it's like 200 pages or under. The thing that got me was I just did not enjoy the writing style of the prose. That had the writing style where it doesn't use quotations for dialogue. Now, that's not something that makes a book unreadable for me. However, the story does have to be really compelling for me to stay engaged without that, kind of quotes around the dialogue. And the story wasn't engaging enough for me to be that way. And the prose was very flowery, a bit verbose. And I found myself just not interested at all. And yeah, I could just tell it wasn't vibing. We just weren't vibing. However, I have acquaintances that have read this book and loved it or gave it at least like 4-star. So it's not one that I want to deter you from. The prose and writing just wasn't for me personally. Next is You'll Be Sorry. I was pretty disappointed about this one because I love a good thriller, and thrillers are ones that usually don't have a high DNF rate with me because, again, most thrillers are very captivating, and even if you don't like it or you don't like the ending, you can get through them quick enough where like a DNF is not really necessary, And this was one that was given to me by the publisher as well. So I really wanted to like it. I just had little to no investment in this story, and it felt like things were not moving along and we were kind of having the same conversation over and over again. It's about like this house where this family of 5, I think, like disappeared, and this dog is like covered in blood and like ran back to town and like alerted the sheriff or whatever, but they never found the family or like what happened to them. So I think it's like 10 or 20 years later, and the daughter of the sheriff has now taken over, and this new couple, this rich couple, has bought the property and he's trying to renovate it, but it's clear they have like ulterior motives. Like it's not just they want to renovate it, build an Airbnb or something. It's like this, they just have a weird vibe that's off to them. So like something's going on behind the scenes. And then you have the other perspective of this female detective who's like trying to reopen this case and figure out what happened. And like I said, it just felt like, especially with the detective point of view, we were having the same conversations over and over again. Like we already knew about this case and we were just rehashing the case again and again. And I was like, is anything gonna happen? I don't know. And I'm pretty sure I got like almost 100 pages in this book, which is pretty good for me for a DNF. And yeah, I was like, I am realizing at this moment, I literally could put this book down and not care what happened to our characters or like what happened to this family and be fine. So I just stopped. And last but not least, we have A Real Animal. Now again, this is one of those books that I don't think is a bad book. I think it would be for a certain type of person, and I thought the writing was okay. I DNF'd this book for a very specific reason. Going into it that this book is about a woman who is trying to recover from having been SA'd in college. So I wasn't unaware that that was going to be happening. However, you can write essay that topic and scenes with it in very specific ways. And so you just never know when going into a book if they're going to be very graphic, if they're going to be really incisive with it, if they're going to just mention it offhand very casually and not go into detail. You just don't know till you read it. And unfortunately for me, it was just a little too intense. I got to page 67, and by that page, our female main character had been essayed multiple times in not brutal graphic detail, but enough detail that it made me highly uncomfortable. And then by page 67, she was then being physically assaulted and beaten by her current boyfriend. And it was too much. It was too much for me. I was on vacation when I tried to read this as well, and the vibes were just atrocious. The vibes were awful, and I was getting that nauseous, sick feeling in my stomach. Like, it's that same feeling I get. For example, I tried to watch the Idaho 4 Murders True Crime documentary on Netflix the other night. And if you don't know, I live in Idaho. My husband is from North Idaho, somewhat near Moscow. And he went to high school with one of the girls that died in that murder. So it's just very close to home. And I was watching it and I was already getting that sinking feeling. And then I saw a boy who was being interviewed that I went to high school with. And when things just hit too close to home, it gives me that sick, anxious feeling. And that's how I felt with this book, where I was like, even if there's no mention of assault in any form the rest of the book, I just can't get past it. It's just giving me really dark, deep anxiety and vibes. So that's why I DNF'd it. If you can get past that, maybe you're someone who's not as affected by those themes. This might be a great book. I'm sure there's probably some meaning. And, you know, maybe if you're a survivor and again, you can kind of get past that writing, it would be very impactful. For me, it was just a bit too intense. So I DNF'd. But hey, those are all our DNFs. We made it. So now I'm going to talk to you about my short little list of August TBR. TBRs are a funny thing to make because while I can always have a plan, I really stick to it. I'm always a blend of mood reading, I have ARC requirements, I have library holds I have to get to, I have book sub boxes that I come in and I'm like, ooh, I want to read that immediately, and I have book challenges, and I have book clubs. So like, and TBR is just a this would be nice. Some of the books I know I will get to, and some of them it's like, maybe, who knows, I would like to get to this. So I like to start off with my requirements, which is for me are book clubs. I have 3. The first book club I'm a part of is the Barnes & Noble local to my area Romantasy book club, and they chose Worthy of Fate by A.N. Caudle. I'm not going to lie to you, I've heard not great things about this book. However, this is the book that people voted on. I voted on a different book. This is what we chose. I've actually not attended this Romantasy book club in person for a while because they kept picking sequels to books I didn't like or books I just wasn't interested in. So when they picked this, a book I've never read, a book that's been out for a little while, I was like, you know what, I'm finally going to read it so I can go to this book club again. I haven't been in several months. So yeah, that's what I'll be reading. I honestly don't know much about this book. It says, a fae must risk everything to save her realm from the darkness plaguing the land, in this thrilling first novel in the Realms and Peril series. So I think that's also why I haven't picked this book up, is I'm not a huge fan of fae. Fae is probably like one of my most least favorite magical inclusions in books because I feel like it's kind of a catch-all for everything. But yeah, we'll see. I'm also part of a local horror book club, and they chose Goblin by Josh Malerman. This book is, I believe, 6 interconnected stories surrounding one town, and the girls that have finished this in the book club have loved it, so I have high hopes. Josh Malerman, he can be very hit or miss. I did read Incense Around the House, and that was okay. So we'll see. This is one I probably have to read the soonest because I think book club's happening in like a week or 2 and I'm hosting. So I definitely have to get on it. And lastly is my own book club, Let's Get Literate. It is completely online on the Fable app. I have the link in this description if you want to join or in the bios of my social media. It is a genre bending book club, and for the month of August, our genre was literary fiction, and we voted and Good People by Patmina Sabit won. This is an ARC. It was an ARC trade. As far as I know, this is about a Middle Eastern family and it's surrounding like the idea of someone getting murdered, but maybe it was an honor killing and family secrets. The format of this book is really interesting. Very short chapters for the most part, which is interesting for literary fiction. And honestly, this is like a 4.4, I think, on Goodreads. I've heard nothing but great things, so I am very excited to get into it. Definitely come join us on Fable if you want to join us in reading Good People. Now, there is one book I intend to reread before the end of the month because its sequel is coming out early September, and that is The Night and the Moth by Rachel Gillig. I've already read and loved this. It's one of my favorite romantasy books, and the sequel, The Name of the Moon's coming out. I'm so excited. And the best part is I got this beautiful indie paperback edition that has like exclusive artwork in it. So I feel like rereading it will be an even better experience with all this fun artwork included. And yeah, I just want to make sure I know everything, remember everything for the second book. It's one of my most anticipated releases of the year. I almost never reread books, but there's multiple second books in a series or sequels coming out this year that I have to reread, this being one of them. And then I'm going to reread Rose and Chains because the second book for that's coming out in December. Oh, I am so excited. Now, when it comes to a newly released sequel that I have not gotten to yet, but I definitely will, that is Daybreak by Autumn Woods. This is the second book. The first book was Nightshade. This is a dark academia, enemies to lovers murder mystery. At least the first book was set in the Scottish Highlands. Oh, it was delicious. I absolutely loved it. And so this second book, I believe, completes the duology. Now, I'm a little nervous. I've heard actually mixed reviews about the second book. So I'm going in it with high hopes. I'm going in it wanting to love it, but we will see. Yeah, I'm just excited. Now, a couple books I am so excited for that have not been released yet, but I have the advanced reader copies for. First is Kiss of the Black Flame. This is one of the most highly anticipated new romantices of the year for me, and the fact that I got an ARC from the publisher, I was screaming. I was dying from the mouth. So excited, and I knew I wanted to read it ASAP. I got this a couple days ago, and I will be reading it literally this week. If you go to the author's page, you'll see like character art for this book, teasers of like the spicy scenes. Oh, It just sounds so good. It's going to be an epic romantasy trilogy about a gifted bookbinder and a cursed immortal general bound together by a dangerous magical bargain. And yeah, if you go look at the character art on her page, oh my god, I'm just so excited. Also, I love books about books, so the fact that it's like a romantasy surrounding books, very excited. And the other book I hope to get to is Taipei Story by R.F. Kuang. R.F. Kuang is one of your authors. This book is getting very mixed reviews right now. There's a little bit of controversy with it. And yeah, I think I just want to get my hands on it because it is getting published in September. So I want to kind of read and form my thoughts before it gets officially published. And I'm also seeing R.F. Kuang on a panel, either in September or in October. So I just want to make sure that I've read this and I know what I'm talking about when I give my review. It says it's a wryly humorous and profoundly moving coming-of-age novel that grapples with grief, language, and culture shock set against the backdrop of an unforgettable summer in Taipei. This type of book is probably not a book I would have picked up if R.F. Kuang had not been the author, so we will see how I like it. I'm very nervous. I don't know how it's going to go, but I do want to make sure that I read it before it officially comes out. And lastly, we have 2 books that are already released, but I would love to get to at some point that I've been meaning to get to. First, July was a moment for YA fantasy for me, so if I pick up another one, I feel like it needs to be Stormbreaker. I've heard nothing but great things about this romantasy, and its second book I think is coming out end of the year or early next year, so if I like it, it'd be good to know so that way I can prepare for the sequel. It says, for 19-year-old Poet Graves, New Manhattan has always provided safety, if she obeys. Raised within the ruling houses and betrothed to a powerful heir, she enters Amory Academy knowing her future has already been decided. But Amory is nothing like she imagined. Its trials are brutal, its loyalties conditioned, and its rules designed to expose weakness. As she struggles to survive, she must hide the truth that could get her executed. The storms don't fear her, they answer back. When a dangerous outsider from beyond the city walls enters the academy, Poet is drawn to him despite everything she's been taught to believe. He threatens the life she promised, and choosing him could cost her not just her future, but her freedom. Ooh, that sounds good. Oh my gosh, I'm even more excited for this now. Yeah, again, I've heard nothing but great things, and YA really had a moment for me in July, and so let's keep it going. And last but certainly not least, I have The Winged Game. I have this glorious edition from L'Oreal. It's so pretty. I'm trying to like blind you guys. This is a sports romantasy, I believe about like dragon riders like competing. And I've heard mostly good things. It says fantasy meets sports romance in the sizzling slow burn novel in which the disgraced star of a brutal magical sport must team up with the rival who destroyed her career. Love rivals to lovers, if you don't know that about me. So that is making me even more excited for this book. Rivals to lovers sometimes is even better than enemies to lovers for me. I just love a good competition. And I love like how you're supposed to be really competitive with each other and like hate each other, but secretly you kind of want to kiss. You know how like MMA fighters will get up really close during their like pre-fights and it looks like they're gonna kiss? That's how I feel about rivals to lovers all the time, and I like it. So yeah, that's another romantasy that I would love to get to, and so I can join the discourse and see if I like it or not. And there you have it, a nice short sweet little video for y'all about my DNFs for July and my TBR for August. This was fun, nice and short. We kept it cute. Well, I would love to know down below what's the one book you are dying to read in August that you were gonna put high on your priority TBR. But that's all I have for you. I hope you're having a great day or night wherever you are. I hope you're about to pick up something that's absolutely scrumptious to read. I want that for you. And I will see y'all in my next video. Bye.